close it up.
Nice.
Thank you. Both great choices. Another Kickstarter.
Another Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Basically, you put out it's like a buffet. You put out 15 movies you love to do, and whichever one gets funded by the people is the one you end up making. Wouldn't that be a more egalitarian way of doing it than have a bunch of studio heads choosing?
I like that. Yes.
Hi, I'm Miranda, and I'm a performance student at Central Washington University, which is in Ellensburg. So, my question for you is...
That's a meat suite. You two could get married. Okay, go ahead.
So my question for you is, as an actor, what was the most difficult part of filming The Lord of the Rings, and how did you overcome that obstacle?
Well, in October last year, I did the Ironman Kona Championship triathlon. So I was working out 3 days, 3 to 7 hours a day, 7 days a week for 4 months. I dropped a ton of weight, I put on a lot of muscle. I was at the peak physical fitness of my life to be able to do 2.4 mile swim, 112 mile bike ride, and a 26.2 mile race all in one, which I did in 15 hours and 30 minutes. That was October 10th. Starting October 11th until today, which is April 8th? What are we on? 10th? Yeah, I haven't done much of anything. So I'm fat again. And starting to work out. I might want to do the Portland Marathon in October. That's one possibility. The idea of dropping the weight now that I'm 45 and getting in shape for that is it's like starting from scratch. It never gets any easier. Nutrition is everything. It's painful when you start out. So, but if you look at my life from the time I'm 18, weight goes up and down. Up and down, up and down, up and down. A lot of times by choice, sometimes not by choice. Metabolism changes over time. I had run the LA Marathon in 1998, 99, and I was 164 pounds of Ryan Gosling fighting machine. and then I get Lord of the Rings. Actually, and then Peter wants to know, Samwise is a stupid fat hobbit. So the question is, can you get big? I'm like, yeah, I can get big. I have some experience with that. So I have to we put together some videotape and sent it down, and I can be fat. So I work out, a lot of weightlifting, a lot of eating of pasta and other stuff, and then stop working out and keep eating. And it really only took, 4 to 6 weeks to go from 164 to 200. And maybe it took a little longer than that, but you get my point. And now you get your Hobbit feet on, and at 4:30 in the morning, and the day goes until 6:30 at night, and you can't run around because it'll mess up the feet. So you basically are sedentary for 12, 13, 14, 15 hours. Until they say, now run up the Shell volcano. Okay, running up the volcano, but now I'm fat, so every step is, So if you look at my weight fluctuations, I actually have a lot of it calculated because Nike Plus Running or the Garmin watch you have, you can actually track your running. You can see with me, January 20 miles, February 60 miles, March 150 miles, and then I get hurt, and then it goes down and down and down, and then there's 3 months of nothing. But it's kind of like an EKG, and the longest period of time that I've gone since for years and years and years, it was 2 or 3 months without doing much until right now. Now I'm at 5 months. But 2 or 3 months without doing much. And then something happens, I get just fat enough, just enough out of shape, where it's just hard enough to tie your shoes, that something triggers in my brain, and I go for a run. And then the good months start. And if you look at my whole life has been photographed a lot. You can see it in movies and television. You can be like, oh, he looks like he's about 2 months in now. Oh, that's 4 months in. Look at the abs. Look at the chiseled jawline. Wow, that's pretty good. And then 4 months later, you're like, oh, okay, it's going the other way now. I can see that. With Lord of the Rings, I had to be like that for 2 years. And so, at the normal point, 3 months in, when my body would say now it's time to get in shape again, I was like, no, you still have 18 months. And so every month or 2 or 3 months, I started getting depressed. You know, I'd start looking into the mirror. At one point I had this distinct memory of looking into the mirror and thinking, it was dark in the makeup bus. There were 4 stations, and then Ian McKellen has his own station. Kind of close us off, like I'm tired of the hobbits, close the door. But Ian McKellen, sorry, nobody was in there, it was empty. And our mirrors were these collages, all the pictures and everything. They were living diaries of our experience, and they were beautiful to walk in. I mean, visitors who would come would spend a half hour just looking at, you know, Elijah's pictures and all the DJing he was doing, or the surfing, and you see all the pictures. At one point I'm in there and I look in the mirror and I'm like, I can't see me anymore. It almost felt like when you look through the wrong end of a binoculars. It was like I was really far away, and I was like, I'm tired of being this fat person. It's too painful. I have to come back. And so I got a Sharpie out. They don't wash off easily on a mirror. And I went up the mirror like this, and over like this, and down like this, and I made the boxes, and I realized we had 187 days left, so I was like 187, 186, 185, 184, like you're in prison. And at the end of every day, I would ceremonially take my Sharpie and I would cross off the next day. And like I'm in prison. And Elijah walked in, he's like, Sean, why are you doing that? He's like, don't just enjoy the experience. I'm like, I am enjoying the experience. I'm also losing my mind. So I'm like trying to find some way, because the days just blend in. You know, feet and backpack and, you know, lembas bread, feet, backpack and lembas bread. Now you're killing a spider, and now there's Aragorn, and now there's a chintz, and now you're at the top. Helicopters, awesome, but you start to lose sense of space and time outside of the world that we had created, which is so cool. But it was also for me because I didn't want to be fat that long. And I remember October 28th, my memory is notoriously bad now, but October 28th, 2000, Elijah and I were playing with rockets, little bottle rockets, at like 10 o'clock at night in Teanau, which is in the southern part of the South Island. And we're on this street, we were staying in these like hut places. It was like in a hotel, but they were kind of pods or something. Anyway, we were there, and all of a sudden, Elijah starts going up and down, and I go up and down, and it's an earthquake. New Zealand has these earthquakes, and some of them are shakers, and some of them are rattlers, and this was a rolling one, and you literally could see the street going up and down like that. And we watched each other. It was kind of like, there was nothing scary about it. It was like being on some weird acid trip roller coaster ride, you know? And when it stopped, I went back to check on Christine and Allie. Allie was 3 at the time. She's 19 now and at Harvard. So, pretty proud. So I go back and check on them, and they're like, whoa, that was really scary. I'm like, you guys okay? Yeah, the thing was shaking, okay. And then I looked down and saw my running shoes. And I put on my running shoes. It's 10 o'clock at night. And she goes, what are you doing? I said, I'm going for a run. She's like, what about? I said, I've done my job for Peter Jackson. It's time to come home. I went for an 8-mile run.
Wow.
I mean, and I don't even remember it. It was like the fastest, easiest 8 miles I'd ever run. Then I got a treadmill put next to the bed in Wellington, in our house. And I would wake up in the morning and run for an hour. And then at the end of the night, I'd run for an hour and go to sleep. And then I'd wake up and run for another hour. And like between 190 and 200, that's Sam, somewhere in there. At 193, 4, it's like the really glowing, like, man, that's a good looking Sam. And up at 197, 198, you're like, oh, that's fat Sam. You know? So anyhow, I had a range to come down with, but by January 1st, I lost 35 pounds. Yeah.